Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Real Freedom Show, where we're talking about different ways that people can build time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. And so many people out there, whether you're young or old, you know that social media is a key for success. And a lot of people have tried social media. A lot of people have become frustrated with social media. They don't know what to do. They don't know how to do it. They're looking for help. And today's guest, we have somebody who has nailed it and had a lot of success early on thanks to social media. So we've got Conor Kelly here. Conor is a realtor based out of Vancouver, British Columbia, and had 57 transactions your first year, mainly using social media. And if anybody's watched him primarily on TikTok, just fun, exciting, engaging content, laughs, you do it all. You also manage a team of 25 agents and helping them continue to grow as well. So we'll talk about branding, we'll talk about social media, growing your business, and really kind of getting that early success. So Conor, welcome to the show. We're so excited to have you.
Thanks for having me on, Mike. I appreciate it. And I appreciate the intro, man.
Talk a little bit about your story. I mean, I know previously you were a plumber, looking to get out of that, looking to do something different. Why real estate? What was exciting about real estate? And then we'll go deeper there.
Yeah. So I was a plumber for about 9 years. Wasn't ever passionate about it. I just did it because my family was blue collar. They said, go into a trade, they make good money, which they do, right? Like I did make good money as a plumber, but I was just never passionate about working with my hands. It was like, it was just a job that made me money, right? And then I was working towards getting my ticket. I know you guys in the States, you call it something else. Here we call it your red seal. That's what it is in Canada. You become a red seal plumber, right? So I thought once I got there, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm like making so much money or whatever. It was like I think I got a raise to $36 an hour, which after overtime and everything, I was making over $100,000 a year at that point. But that's when I realized like, I am not going to be able to live the life I want to live, even making this much money. It's still going to take me 10, 15, 20 years of doing this. And I genuinely hate my job. Like I probably work 50, 60 hours a week. And I hate every waking moment of it. I probably shouldn't do something I hate doing for 60 hours a week for my entire life. So at that point, I started searching, like, how do I get out of this? My parents always kind of talked about real estate investing. I think they owned an investment property at one point when I was in high school. So like, I'll look into real estate investing. Stumbled across a bunch of, actually the Bigger Pockets podcast was one of the first things I stumbled across. And I listened to that forever, but it wasn't really relevant to Canadian real estate. Like the US is so much different from Canada. But they always talked about, like, everyone was, oh, what's your favorite book? Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Actually, the book is right in front of me right now. So I read that book, only book I've ever read through and through. I listen to books. I'm not a reader, but I read that book through and through, and it completely changed the trajectory of my life. So bought my first property at 22, another one at 23, and another one at 25. And then I just continued to educate myself, right? I just continued to listen to the Bigger Pockets podcast. I listened to Meet Kevin and Graham Stephan and Jeremy Lefebvre, whatever you say his name on YouTube, stock guy. And I realized that all these people I looked up to at one point started as realtors, and then they transitioned into an influencer role after they had made it in real estate. So I was like, okay. So I started following realtors in my market, and I noticed that nobody was actually talking about investing in real estate the proper way that you're supposed to do it. Here in my market, right, everything is so expensive that nothing makes sense on a spreadsheet. You just buy it and hopefully it appreciates, right? And historically it always has, right? But if you listen to the guys on the Bigger Pockets podcast, they would tell you you're an idiot for doing that, right? You should know what your cash on cash is. You should buy cash flow property. You should never buy something that's negative $800 a month and just hope it appreciates. So I saw what all these realtors were talking about, and I was like, I'm going to bring this ideology into Canadian real estate, and I'm going to talk about it on camera, because I didn't see anybody else doing that. Maybe a couple guys here and there, but they also weren't doing it in a way that kind of attracted a young audience. So I knew I could kind of put my own spin on it and maybe attract a younger audience with the way that I was doing it. So that's what I did. And my second video that I ever made about a property that I owned in Windsor, Ontario, which was a cash flow market at the time, blew up. It got like 150,000 views. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is like, I didn't think it was going to get me business. You know what I mean? I just thought this is a lot of views. It's got to amount to something. You know what I mean? When you're getting that many views, people are going to know, at least know who I am. It's like a bus
Mhm.
bench ad, right? And then after a month of posting on TikTok twice a day, phone started blowing up, and then I basically stopped. I was cold calling, door knocking, doing all the stuff that normal realtors would do. I stopped all of that and just doubled down on social media. So then I started posting more on TikTok, started posting more on Instagram. I hired an editor. Now I do 3 YouTube videos a week, post to YouTube shorts, Instagram stories, everything. And then, yeah, just never looked back. And now all my business comes through social media, and it's been awesome.
What was that point for you where you made it intentional? Just after that initial success, you're like, okay, what am I going to do? And then I know the first question that most people ask is like, how do you get ideas for this stuff? How do you know to continue to do that stuff? So kind of talk maybe about your creative process or your planning process to be able to pump out that much content.
Yeah. So that's a good question. So the first part of that question, after I posted that video and it went nuts, that was the point for me where I was like, that's a lot of views. I should keep doing this. Right.
Yep.
And then how do I get the ideas? Well, I always hear people preaching this like, oh, quality content. Your content should be quality. You can't even get to quality without quantity first. Like you have to get your reps in, right? So the content becomes easier to make, and it becomes easier to generate content ideas after you've shot 500 videos. Like I could sit here and make 40 videos a day if I wanted to. I got shit to do. I can't do that obviously, but
Mhm.
I could if I really wanted to, right? Another thing that really helps is consuming content. Like every morning, part of my morning thing is, I wake up early. I wake up at like 4:30 or 4 in the morning, and then make breakfast. As I'm eating it, I consume other people's content. And then I get ideas from that. And then like steal ideas from people, even steal stuff that people say, but just make sure that if you're going to refurbish another idea and present it to your audience, make sure it's packaged in the way that you understand it and the way that you would say it. Don't say it the exact same way, and don't explain it the exact same way as the way that you consumed it from somebody else saying it. Repackage it into how you actually talk and the way that you understand it, right? So a lot of the influencers today, they all kind of say the same thing, but they're explaining it to you the way that they understand it. So it comes out with different verbiage and it's presented in a different way. And you appreciate the way that that guy says it, and you appreciate the way that that guy says it. You actually like both of them. They say the same thing. They're just saying it in their own way. But another thing is like, I may understand it the way that, I don't know, Patrick Bet David says it better than the way that Brad Lee says it. They both said the same thing, but for whatever reason, I just absorbed the way that he said it better. Right. So you don't need to constantly invent new ideas. If you hear something you like, an idea that you fully understand, that you could elaborate on, or, package it down into your own words, that's why consuming other people's content works. Right. But you can't just say exactly what they said. Yeah. And you have to fully understand it. Like I often hear people will like, they repeat a quote that they heard, but they don't actually break down and explain what the quote means for their audience. Right.
Yeah, and for people that understand that, I mean, when you really sit down and think about it, you've got all the content you'll ever need, because like you said, yeah, it's what you're watching, it's what's impacting you, and people want to get to know you personally. And yeah, it's great that they read Rich Dad Poor Dad, or that they follow, somebody like a Gary Vaynerchuk, but they want to get to know Connor, and Connor, the local realtor in my area. And yeah, you might have, followers in all sorts of different states or different countries and whatnot, but they want to get to know you and who you are and your story. So you started to have people reach out to you. How do you take, because I know there's sometimes people get too much in their own head. How do you formulate comments and responses on your videos into, hey, help me out here? How do I, I want to buy a house with you, sell a house with you, or hey, can you help me? I'm thinking about this. How do you turn these couple word conversations into building those relationships?
Here's the thing is I've already built the relationship, right? So if they've been watching your content, you have been building the relationship through the phone with them up until that point. So they usually just DM me or call me, and at which point I don't have to sell them. Very rarely ever do I need to like compete with another realtor. A lot of the times it's just, hey, I want to sell such and such investment condo over here. When can we get it on the market? I say, hey, we're going to get it on the market this day. This is the process. I'll send you the contract by e-sign. When can I go pick up the keys? And it's really that simple. Like, I don't have to sell anybody on anything. For buyers, I'll literally meet them at the, at the whatever showing we've booked. A lot of the times I don't even, it depends on the client, right? First time home buyers, I'll actually go schedule like a coffee and sit down with them and explain the entire process. But a lot of my clients are, second, third, fourth time, fifth time home buyers. And because that's kind of, I guess what I've been talking about is more the investing side, and I go a little bit more in depth than most people would. So that's kind of the clientele that I've been attracting for the most part. But yeah, I mean, it's super simple. People just DM me or they'll call me right on my phone. And then that's that. A lot of the times they're already sold on me being the realtor, right?
Yeah. And I think that's the beauty, is you're putting yourself out there. They're not going to be like, hey, Connor, I've been watching all your videos, but I've also been watching these other 3 agents videos. And so, if we could just get a time where I could meet each of you, yeah, they've already sold themselves and they're going to reach out to you because they like what you're doing. So, and I think that's something that, going back to cold calling as a strategy, we've talked on our team about this in the past. Like, how do you go from one-to-one to one-to-many relationships? Like, yeah, when I cold call somebody, I'm calling one person, and that person may or may not pick up. But when I'm putting myself out there on social media, it may take longer, it may not, but at the same time, yeah, when people are ready, it's usually, hey, I've been watching your stuff, or I've been following you, or I've been, I noticed this, and then now I'm going to raise my hand out of the sea of people. And so that's how you can cultivate those one-to-many relationships versus having to pick up the phone and call one person at a time.
Exactly. I mean, you're cold calling, a year's worth of cold calls in, 2-3 days of making content is kind of the way that I see it.
Yeah.
Right.
I heard somebody else use the analogy of, it's like I'm a keynote speaker and I'm getting on stage. However many views I get for that video or for that piece of content, it's like I was on stage at, some sort of realtor conference where buyers and sellers happen to go to, and they're listening to me speak. And so think about, your content as, this is how many stage appearances or how many times I've been on stage. Well, for you, if you're doing 2 a day, you're given 2 keynote addresses every single day to, X number of people. That's how that message gets out there to a ton of people.
That's so funny. That's exactly how I think about it, but I've never heard anybody actually say that. But that's exactly how I think, because I always think about like, hey, I'm in the day of digital whatever, and my business grew really fast. But if this was 2002, what would I have had to do in 2002 to reach as many people as I reach today? I'd have to like flyer a neighborhood and run ads in the newspaper to set up some sort of in-person event where I can talk on a stage in front of 250 people. And it's funny now because people will post a video that gets like 400 views and they're like, oh, it only got 400 views. Right. Do you know how hard you would have had to work 20 years ago to get 400 people to listen to what you had to say for like 20 seconds? It's crazy.
Yeah. And then I was on a team where it was agents that had been around for 30, 35 years. And they talk about, having to take your clients to the office where the book was that had all the listings that you could potentially buy. And then when you'd write up an offer, you'd have to present the offers in person. So it was like the seller was there and then all the buyers would show up and physically present their offers in person. Like, think about how much faster you can move, how you can do, the transactions that you've been able to do because of all the great advances of technology that sometimes people feel like, oh, all this technology is moving too quick. Well, yeah, you couldn't have that impact 20 years ago or 30 years ago.
Exactly. No, you're 100% right.
So in addition to, growing your own personal real estate business, you've been growing a team at your office. Talk about what you see from agents out there. Like, what are agents looking for? I see a lot of questions about, what brokerage should I join a team? Should I not join a team? Should I be solo? That sort of thing. Like, what do you feel is out there that agents are looking for, and how have you been able to attract so many people to you?
I think agents are looking for information. I think agents are this is what I think. I think they think they're going to find some secret way to get a bunch of deals done very quickly, and they just need to find that piece of information to make it happen, when in reality all the information is there. They're just not applying any of the information that's there. So I think people join teams for the wrong reason. I think they join teams because they think they're missing the information, unless they're right fresh out the gate and in the business, then definitely join a team. And it is definitely a big part of information. But I think agents that are already in the business that maybe aren't doing so well think that they're missing a piece of information, but they're not. They have all the information. They're just not applying it. So I think it comes down to accountability a lot of the time. I try to take the what's the word I'm looking for? I try to be a leader, not a dictator, right? So I'm not going to tell anybody to do something unless I'm out there doing it, right? So I don't tell my agents to make 50 calls a day. I have my partner who tells my agents to make 50 cold calls a day because he makes 50 cold calls a day, right? But me, I tell them they need to post on social media every single day and never miss. And there's zero excuses for why you should be missing, right? Because that's what I'm doing. I don't ever miss. I post every single day. I never miss a YouTube. I never miss an Instagram. I never miss my 2 TikToks. Every single day it happens, right? And it's just being a leader. You're not telling people what to do. You're showing them, you're leading them. I don't want anybody on my team to do more than I'm doing. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, if I miss, I slip, they fall kind of thing, right? So that's kind of how I try to run it. How are so many people been attracted to me? It's just because I'm out there. You know what I mean? And like I said, I don't think there's another agent in my market that posts every single day relentlessly. Maybe 1 or 2 other ones that I can think of. But most people that are doing the social media thing, they post once, they miss, they post again. Oh, there's another 3-day break there. They post again and they post, but it's not consistently. Right. So I just try to be on top of it every single day. And I'm always there. Like, it's funny. I have people that reach out to me now. Like, I haven't even been licensed for 2 years yet. And people will reach out to me. They're like, I've been following you for years, bro. It feels like they've been following me for years because I'm always on their screen. Right.
So then in your office, you've got some folks that are still kind of doing the traditional approach. And then you've got like a group of agents that are kind of modeling themselves after you and what you're doing.
I think a good hybrid. I don't think agents should try to do what I did. I don't think it's a very repeatable process. And I don't mean to say like, I'm not trying to be like, oh, nobody can be like me or like whatever. Right. But I think the best way is to take a hybrid approach out the gate, make the calls, do the door knocks, pick one social media platform to start, be consistent on that platform and show up every day. If you start getting results from the social media, because this is exactly what I did, then you double down on it, right? But I think it's very important to post on social media for a few reasons. One, you're building a personal brand, which one day you should be able to monetize later on and increase your income quite substantially and possibly even exit out of the realtor business with the personal brand that you built, like many have, right? And then 2, sellers want to see, like, if you're, I don't know, people are going to hate this, but if you're like labeling yourself as a marketing expert in 2023, but you're not using social media, can you ethically say that when social media is the best marketing tool by far, hands down? Like, I have listings on my page and I know tons of realtors. Like, there's people in Calgary, which is another city outside of in Alberta in Canada, that are doing property tour videos. They're getting way more views in the MLS, like 10 times more views than the MLS would ever get on those videos, right? So, I mean, I think social media sellers, especially going forward, are going to really want to see that you're active on social media, because that is a tool, if you're a marketing expert and you're getting hired to market the home, that you should be using.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. I love this idea of disrupt. So I got into real estate in 2014 and people were talking about how, yeah, we do property video tours. And I was like, oh, okay, great. So this is only 9 years ago. And all it was a slideshow of a property, so it was just like 25 photos and it was put to like this old school elevator music. And they're like, oh yeah, we do property tours of every home that we market. And it's so funny to think that how much has changed just over that time, in the 9 years that I've been in real estate full time. But yeah, they would talk about that as one of their key marketing things, that other agents don't do property tours, but we do. And it was just a slideshow to elevator music.
Yeah.
Let's dig just a little bit deeper. I know you talked about, number one, you get up early, which, is probably, obviously a key part of your success, sitting down, consuming other people's content, getting ideas, but kind of walk through a little bit of a day for you, or what might be more of a typical day, just in terms of the lead generation, the lead follow-up stuff that you're doing, the appointments, or, whatever you're going on.
Yeah. So wake up, go to the gym, eat breakfast, consume content, get to the office. I usually have like a list of things throughout the day that I add to that I need to do. So, first thing in the morning might look like shoot a YouTube video, shoot a TikTok video, and post an Instagram story. I usually have a bunch of Instagram reels ready to go because I have an editor now. So I just shoot one raw video file that's 15 minutes long that might have 10 videos on it. I send that to my editor. He clips them all down. And I only post once a day on Instagram reels. So I might post my Instagram reel that day. Right. So, and then usually the second TikTok for the day comes later on in the afternoon on the fly, wherever I am. Right. So I try to post pretty much all my content for the day first thing in the morning, right when I get to the office, and then I knock out my to-do list. And it really just depends. Every day is different, but I try to, get rid of most of the stuff on that to-do list in the morning, shoot all my content, and then the afternoon will be for showings, appointments, anything like that, really. And then usually as I'm out doing the showings and appointments, my to-do list is filling up because people are calling me and texting me as I'm doing that. And then when I get back home, I continue on that to-do list, whatever it is, sending listings, doing paperwork, whatever it is. But that's a normal day. I pretty much work, the whole day from right after the gym and breakfast. And then I'll work from, 8 o'clock until 8 o'clock that night kind of thing. Right.
So talk about then kind of the difference here from you being a plumber, hating what you were doing, not having the freedom to choose, to now. I mean, you're putting in a ton of time during your day, but talk about how that's different, doing more of what you love and more of what you enjoy.
I love it because I'm aligned with the person that I want to be, right? Like when I was watching Graham Stephan and Meet Kevin, and I thought to myself, I kind of wanted to be like these guys. I like the way they talk. I like what they talk about. A lot of people look up to them, and they're genuinely helping people. Right? They're authoritative figures in that space. I want to be like those guys. And when you're aligned with the person that you want to be, and you're kind of living each day with purpose. I heard this quote this morning on a reel that I watched. Let me see if I can try to muster it up right now. What did he say? He was like, if you're working for something you hate doing, it's stress. And if you're working on something you love doing, it's passion. Right? So I don't mind working 12 to 14 hours a day because I'm passionate about what I do. Right. And especially with the social media thing, I have a lot of people. So something I talk about a lot is having no vices. I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. I've gotten lots of messages about that. People saying like, oh, I helped them quit this and I helped them quit that. And people message me saying that I'm an inspiration, which I would have never thought that I would have done. Right. But now that I'm on that path, it feels good. You know what I mean? I enjoy doing it, and I'm excited for the future because things are only going to get better the longer that I'm in this. Whereas back when I was plumbing, that wasn't necessarily the case. Things were actually declining the longer I was in plumbing because my knees were getting shot. My back was getting shot. I was getting terrible sleeps. I had bags under my eyes. Like my situation was getting worse the longer I was doing that. Now I'm in a position where my situation gets better every day. I get better every day. My follower account grows every day. Right. So it's exciting, man. I love it.
Yeah. And I think going back to what you had said previously, talking about building a personal brand that can provide some future potential freedom for you. Like you could choose to be an agent. You could choose to work with buyers and sellers till the day you die. It's something that you love. It's an industry that you love. At the same time, you could use that following to either do less work and get more results. You can outsource your real estate business in the future to people and get referral fees if you want to. You can go off and do other things on the side. And so I think, that's what I'm also thinking as well is, everything you're doing, you're just making little deposits into a bank account, like a digital bank account that, yes, it's going to lead to closing. It's going to lead to actual business, but it leads to future opportunity that you just don't know what's going to happen. And you just continue to pursue that, and whatever comes along is going to come along. But all this work that you're doing is going to provide to those future opportunities.
Exactly. And like, I almost look at it now where the personal brand is my main business. Like the social media, that's my main business. And as a result of me investing in that and growing that, I get to sell real estate.
Hmm.
Right. So I don't even invest in ads to try to sell real estate or invest in that or invest in this. I invest in my personal brand. And then
Hmm.
as the personal brand grows, so does the real estate business. Right. And just like you said, it leads to a lot of other monetization or other ways to monetize. Like I'm going to be rolling out a coaching program pretty soon just to help people with social media. I want it to be a lot different. Like one of the things I'm going to include in it is a fitness program first, because with social media, this is the thing, right? I understand algorithms, I understand hashtags, I understand time of day you post, all that stuff. All of that stuff isn't very meaningful unless you, the person, are better, right?
Hmm.
There are a lot of people who get a lot of views, but don't have influence over the views they get, right? So to get influence, you need to focus on the person, right? The person needs to be better. If the biggest part of the personal brand is the person, then you need to make the person better, right? Don't focus on the content, focus on making the person better, right? So one of the things I'm going to roll out in that coaching program is fitness. You got to go to the gym 6 days a week. You got to follow your macros, and then just by way of all those habits, kill all your vices. The person gets better, and that'll shine through in your content.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you're the average of the top 5 people that you hang around? Well, real estate agents, I'm excited to increase your 5 with you. We're launching the Real Freedom Investor Agent Tribe to help you get educated and connect with others to build your real estate investing journey, and also to help you along the way as you're working with real estate investors. So come check it out on our website, realfreedom.com. Go to the store. We have a membership, we have a mastermind group, and private coaching to help you stay accountable to your real estate investing goals and to make sure that you connect with like-minded people to accelerate your progress and to cheer you on along the way. Check it out, realfreedom.com. Click on the store. Going back to kind of your personal real estate investing journey, what's on the horizon for you, or what are you looking to do in the future on that side?
That's a great question. So here's the thing. So I started with that as my passion. Now it's the social media thing. So I'm actually going to be probably liquidating my investment properties and
Mm-hmm.
my principal residence, and then buying a nicer place to live in. And the reason why is I just want to invest in my personal brand. I think that dollars that I put there are going to yield the highest return by far. I still love real estate as an investment vehicle. I'm still excited about real estate investing. I'm just more excited about the digital creator economy.
I 100% understand that, because I had a guest that was on maybe about a year and a half ago, and he talked about, he's like, dollar for dollar ROI in the short term, everybody would think I was crazy with the money that I was spending on my own branding. And at the same time, that's opened up more doors and more opportunities. So let's just say, as an example, just because I work with investors, some people say, 10% cash on cash, 8%, 7% cash on cash returns are great. Well, you taking that money and pouring it back into your brand is going to be 100% returns potentially, or more, because you building and growing your brand, building and growing your business, at least in the short term, is probably going to outproduce what a residential real estate or an investment real estate opportunity would produce.
Exactly. And it compounds on itself. Like if I gain 1,000 followers that consume my content and turn into loyal followers over time, I have that for the rest of my life, kind of thing. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, whereas the real estate property, you have it for the rest of your life, but at a certain point, it's, you'd have to pull out equity and invest somewhere else and blah, blah, blah. The return on equity starts to drop over time. Right. So
I remember I talked with a financial advisor. This was, 15 years ago. And they said what most people don't realize is the biggest impact they can make on their income is building and growing your income, versus thinking I have to invest in this, invest in that. And so you're definitely proof of that, of invest in yourself, invest and grow your personal income, and everything else is going to take care of itself after that.
100%. And I wish I figured that out a lot earlier. I wish I figured out, like, if you pay money for knowledge, you have that knowledge forever. You can only spend the money once. You can only invest the money once. I wish I figured that out 5-6 years ago.
Mm-hmm. And at the same time, you still got a lot of life ahead of you. So it's not like you're sitting at death's door just waiting to live things until the sun sets. So you've got a ton of opportunity ahead of you. How can folks that want to learn more about you do so and reach out to you?
Yeah, give me a follow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at That Agent Kelly, Kelly. Shoot me a DM if you enjoyed the show. Shoot me a DM if you have any questions, whatever it may be. But that's where I'm at. Give me a follow.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Connor, for coming in. And, best of luck to you in the future on your success, and just excited to see where things go from here.
Appreciate it, Mike. Thanks for having me on.